1. The blue star called Eos. Commander Mara Vale had watched Earth shrink into a pale blue memory for 7 long years. She had crossed the silent dark inside the starship Argo Dawn with 300 sleeping colonists, a cargo hold full of seeds, machines, embryos of forests, and the fragile dream of a species afraid of staying in one place forever. Their destination was Eos, a planet orbiting a golden star in the Kepler Veil. From space, it looked like a sapphire wrapped in silver clouds. Oceans glowed with faint turquoise light. Continents curved beneath pearl-colored storms. At night, rivers shone like veins of living glass. Mara was the first to wake from cryosleep. The ship greeted her with alarms. The landing window had shifted. A storm system the size of Europe rolled over their planned colony site. Fuel reserves had thinned after a navigation correction. The ship's artificial intelligence recommended delaying entry for another month, but the cryosystems were failing. Mara looked at the sleeping faces behind the glass pods and made the decision that would define human history. "We land today," she whispered. The Argo Dawn fell through the atmosphere in a blaze of fire. Plasma streamed over the windows. Lightning crawled across the sky in violet branches. Mara held the controls as the ship trembled like a wounded animal. Below, the storm split open for one impossible second, revealing a valley surrounded by black mountains and fields of silver grass. Mara aimed for it. The ship struck Eos at dawn. When the dust cleared, the first human footprint on the new world belonged to Mara Vale. She stepped down the ramp, planted a gloved hand into the alien soil, and felt it pulse faintly beneath her fingers. Eos was not empty, and humanity had just arrived. 2. The first breath of dawnfall. The valley became known as Dawnfall because the sun rose there in 2 colors, gold over the mountains and blue reflected from the glowing grass. Every morning looked like the universe was being born again. Mara led the settlement's first construction teams. Inflatable shelters rose from the plain like white moons. Solar wings opened toward the sky. Drills sank into the crust. Greenhouses were sealed and filled with earth soil, earth seeds, and earth hope. The colonists woke in waves, confused, weak, and terrified. Many wept when they realized they would never see Earth again. Some pressed their hands to the windows and stared at the impossible horizon. Mara never pretended it would be easy. She gathered everyone beneath the half-built central dome and spoke through the settlement speakers. "Earth is our birthplace," she said. "But this valley is our responsibility. We do not conquer Eos. We learn from it. We survive by becoming worthy guests." The words became the colony's first law. But Eos tested them quickly. On the 4th night, silver vines emerged from the ground and wrapped around the power cables. They did not cut them. They tasted them. The vines pulsed with light each time electricity flowed through the grid. The engineers wanted to burn them away. Mara stopped them. Instead, she placed a small battery on the soil near the vines. The plants curled around it gently, drank its charge, and released the cables. That was the first lesson of Eos. Nothing here was passive. The grass reacted to footsteps. The stones changed temperature when touched. Even the wind seemed to carry patterns, repeating notes like a language too old for human ears. Dawnfall survived its first week. Then the sky turned red. 3. The storm that had a memory. The red sky came without warning. Clouds gathered in spirals above the valley, dense and luminous, turning daylight into a bruised twilight. The instruments called it an electrostatic superstorm. The colonists called it the Crimson Wall. Mara ordered everyone underground into the emergency shelters. The habitat domes locked down. The greenhouses folded their shields. The solar wings tucked themselves away like frightened birds. Then the storm struck. Lightning did not fall randomly. It walked. Bolts crawled across the ground in branching patterns, searching, touching, retreating. The storm moved through the settlement like a giant blind creature feeling its way forward. One bolt hit the communications tower and filled every speaker with a sound like a choir inhaling. For 12 hours, Dawnfall shook. A greenhouse cracked. Water tanks burst. A section of the outer habitat lost pressure. Mara crossed the open ground during the worst of it, magnetic boots tearing sparks from the soil, to rescue 2 trapped colonists behind a collapsed airlock. When she reached them, she saw the lightning avoiding the silver grass. Not striking near it. Not touching it. Mara understood. The grass was not just surviving the storm. It was guiding it. She ordered emergency teams to drag bundles of harvested silver grass around the damaged structures. It was desperate, strange, almost ridiculous. But the lightning bent around the grass lines, flowing away from the habitats like water around stone. By sunrise, the storm had passed. Dawnfall stood wounded but alive. In the silence afterward, the colony's damaged receivers began playing a signal recorded during the storm. It was not noise. It repeated in pulses, rising and falling. Mara listened until her heart went cold. The storm had copied their distress calls. Eos was listening. 4. The library under the mountain. The signal led Mara beyond the valley, toward the black mountains that ringed Dawnfall. She took a rover across plains where floating spores shimmered like lanterns and stone arches hummed under the wind. At the base of the tallest mountain, she found an entrance that had not been carved by water, wind, or accident. It was a doorway. The tunnel beyond glowed with soft blue veins. Mara moved carefully, recording everything. The walls were covered in patterns that looked like roots, lightning, rivers, and constellations woven together into one design. Deep inside, she discovered a vast chamber filled with crystalline pillars. When her suit light touched them, images bloomed in the air. Eos had once held another civilization. They were not human, not anything Earth had imagined. They had lived with the planet's living systems, built with crystal and song, and vanished during an age of violent solar storms. But they had left behind a warning. The planet was entering another storm cycle. Dawnfall had landed in a valley protected by natural energy currents, but the protection would fail when the great auroras arrived. The colony had months, maybe weeks, before radiation and electromagnetic surges would destroy every unshielded system. Mara found one more image in the crystal library. A network of underground routes and mineral towers, ancient planetary organs capable of redirecting storm energy safely into the crust. The system was damaged, but not dead. To save Dawnfall, humanity would have to repair an alien machine the size of a continent. Mara placed her hand against a glowing pillar. For the first time, Eos answered not with sound, but with memory. 5. Building with the planet. When Mara returned to Dawnfall, some colonists wanted to leave the valley and attempt life elsewhere. Others argued they should strip the land for resources, build thicker walls, and ignore the alien systems completely. Mara stood before them with the crystal recordings projected behind her. "We cannot survive here by pretending Eos is dead ground beneath our boots," she said. "This planet has rules. It has scars. It has memory. If we build against it, we die. If we build with it, we may become something new." The colony chose to try. For the next 30 days, Dawnfall transformed. Engineers connected human power grids to crystalline conduits. Botanists cultivated silver grass around the settlement in protective rings. Children carried tiny seedlings through pressurized tunnels, laughing as the plants glowed at their voices. Mara led expeditions to repair the ancient mineral towers. Each tower awakened with a note that vibrated through bone and stone. Across the valley, lights rose beneath the ground like stars buried in the soil. But the work had a cost. The final tower stood beyond a canyon filled with magnetic storms. No rover could cross it. No drone could survive it. Someone had to walk the old bridge, climb the tower, and manually connect the human reactor core to the alien lattice. Mara volunteered before anyone else could speak. On the horizon, the sky began to ripple with green fire. The great auroras had arrived early. 6. The first city of 2 worlds. Mara crossed the canyon alone. The bridge was ancient, thin as a ribbon, suspended above clouds glowing with electrical fire. Every step pulled at her suit. Every breath fogged her visor. Above her, the aurora spread across the sky like a living ocean, beautiful and deadly. At the tower's peak, Mara found the final connector split by age. The human reactor core would not lock into place. Dawnfall's voice came through her helmet, broken by interference. "Commander, radiation levels rising. Outer shields failing." Mara looked down at the valley. She could see the tiny lights of the settlement, the domes, the greenhouses, the first school, the first clinic, the first cemetery. She saw not an outpost, but a promise. She removed a power regulator from her own suit and forced it into the alien lattice. Her oxygen alarm screamed. The tower awakened. A pulse of blue light raced from the mountain into the valley, then across the plains, then beyond the horizon. The silver grass shone like a sea of stars. The storm bent upward, drawn into the ancient network, transformed from destruction into radiance. Dawnfall survived. Mara collapsed beside the tower, her suit failing, watching the aurora become a crown around the planet. Rescue arrived minutes later. To the colonists, those minutes became legend. Years passed. Dawnfall grew into the first city beyond Earth. Its streets curved around living grass channels. Its towers sang during storms. Its children learned two histories, the history of humanity and the history of Eos. At the center of the city stood a statue of Mara Vale, one hand reaching toward the stars, the other resting on the soil. The inscription beneath it read, "We did not make this world ours. We became part of it."